the new topic. And the Jain lay people have a very least knowledge and most important topic, okay, is the Jain literature. Jain literature means, what are our scriptures? What are the ancient texts? And what kind of the information is written in that book? What kind of the information is written for monks and nuns? What kind of the information is written for Shravaks and Shravikas? How many ancient books we have it? There are so many things we are totally unknown about it. We generally are very good in preserving this literature. Okay, Jain Shravak, okay, Shravak and Shravika, the Jain Shravak community, they are very good in preserving the literature. We have one of the best libraries in India. Not even Hindu, not even Buddhist. In India, I'm talking about. We have the best library. But we are the least studying these libraries. We preserve it, we save it, and we wanted to pass it on to our children, and so forth. But like I just said, we are least knowledgeable about our own literature. And what I am trying here is to give you some overview of the whole, how vast our literature is. And ancient libraries are so much. These kind of the literature, of course, many things are being studied by monks and nuns. I'm not disputing that, okay? But when we are here in this country, in USA, Canada, or Western countries, okay, you don't have that monks and nuns exposure. Our children don't have it. We decided to stay settle here in this country. And it is our responsibility to make sure that our children has accessible to all this literature, and those who are interested in studying further, they will have opportunities here. So just to give you, and then you can see how poor knowledgeable about the literatures we are. And the reason I'm criticizing these things, so at least hope that some of you will go and at least study in the sense, let's understand what kind of the literatures we have. Everybody knows about Bible. Everybody knows about Quran. Everybody knows Gita. All right. Everybody knows Dhammapad for Buddhist literature. Okay. Or Old Testament for Jewish. But if I ask about the Jain literature, then they shake their heads. All right. And that is a really poor things that we, even if you ask individually, do you have Jain scriptures in your home? I tell you, hardly 2% will answer me, yes. And that will not be the case for Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism. They all in their house, they will have it, the literature. And once you have that literature, at least some of you will read it. Like Quran, every day they read it. Gita, every day. Okay, they may read one chapter, they may read one page. And we do not read these things. And until and unless you read yourself, you will not know from somebody else is telling you what is in the Agam literature. This is our scripture. Okay, Agam is our scripture's another name. All right. So I hope just be attentive. I'm going to explain you some history, how vast our literature is, and okay, how can we study it? And so let's start from the first chart. What are the things I'm going to cover? I'm going to cover just 1 minute, okay? Yeah. What are the things I'm going to cover? These are the topics I have listed in the first two charts. Jain Aagam.
Pravin uncle, just 1 second. Have you?
What do you want me to do?
Can you start your video? I think I don't see you have started your video. So can you just start your video?
1 minute. I will start my video. Just 1 minute. Okay, share this. Okay. Oh, it is. Oh, yeah. Video is not on. Sorry about this. Thank you. Now.
Okay. Yes. All good. All good.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Oh gosh. I'm sorry. All right. Now we can see the Jain Agam canonical literature. What is the definition of the Agam? What are their various classifications? The listing of all the sutras, the summary of Agams by Jain sect. What is the history? Keep in mind, Jain tradition, like Buddhist tradition, we do not write down all our scriptures. It's an oral tradition. We memorize it, we compile it, we memorize it, and the tradition is from guru to disciple that we pass on. That is not the case of Hindu literature. But Buddhist literature and the Jain literature, this is the oral tradition. And one of the reasons they say they had the oral tradition, because both the religions are religions of renunciates. That is not a Hindu tradition. Hindu tradition is not the religion of renunciation. Okay. The Hindu tradition had a 4 ashrams: Brahmacharya ashram, Santan, Vanprastha ashrams, and Sannyas ashram. And there is a 4. These things, you do, studying time, family, you go in Vanprastha ashram and finally Sannyas ashram where you renunciate. Okay. So these are not the things over here. And once it is a renunciates tradition, any possession is considered, any possession, okay, is a violation of their renunciation. And at that time, it was a tradition, the books, written books I'm talking about, okay, that is considered possession. That's why the memorization is the key in the ancient time. Those the monks and nuns were memorizing many sutras. Okay, and that is one of the reason also that we do not have handwritten manuscripts in our homes. And later on, when the printing and everything come up, we did not get that one. What is the history of preservation of all these literature? What are the Agam substitute literature for Digambar tradition? Because the Digambar tradition believes that all original work means the Mahavira did not write anything. Mahavira preached. And when Mahavira preached, his immediate disciple, we known as the Gandhar, there are 11 Gandhars. And these immediate disciple compiled his preaching into the sutra forms. The sutra forms, if you read anything, Jain and Buddhist literature, they are all in the sutra forms. And the sutra forms, is the 2 lines or 4 lines. Sometimes it could be a gadya, it means a big paragraph, but they are all considered in the sutra forms. Okay, and in those 2 lines or 4 lines and these sutras, they can tell a lot more with very little writing. And that's the sutra forms. If you really put it shorthand type things, if you originally know what the shorthand is, okay? Who are the authors of the Agam literature? And there is another thing is 14 purvas, like when you recite Samaro Mantra Varono Kar, each 14 purvano. What are those 14 or 14 purvas? And we will have one chart on this one because we recite all the time 14 purvano. But if you ask any question, what are these 14 purvas? Do you know the names of it? Okay, all 14. And what it contains? Very few people can answer that. Okay. Next one is, what are the commentaries on the Jain Agams? Means who has written explanation of all these sutras? There are 4 types of the commentary, and we will go into the details of these 4 types: Niryukti, Bhashya, Churni, and Tika. You may have heard about these words, but these are the different types of the commentaries of Jain Agams. Then you go next one, non-Agam Jain literature. This is not a scripture classification, but they are the ancient literature. And the ancient literature, what are those literature? What are the most popular ancient literatures? Various subjects and various languages. The Jain authors, important Jain literatures. Okay, so these are the things you will see the first 2 charts what I just showed you. Okay, we are going to cover, okay, for Jain literature. So, and we will send you the presentation tomorrow or day after tomorrow, within a day or 2. Okay, so you will have in front of you the entire chart. There are about 36 slides, okay, covering the entire subject. Okay. Now, this first chart and other upper half of the first chart is the most important chart. If you understand that literature, you don't need to study anything else. Just only first 5 lines. All right. What is the Jain Agam literature definition? The definition is being explained from absolute point of view or Nischaya-naya, and we did discuss in the past, that is the Nischaya-naya from literature point of view, it is from the listener point of view or from reader's point of view, people who study the scripture. From their point of view, because that is the most important thing. In this whole education or studying this literature, important person is the reader or listening, the people who are listeners. From their point of view, these are the three important sentences, and we have talked many times this important thing. If you read any literature, listener point of view I'm talking about, okay, or from the reader's point of view, reading, listening, studying, swadhyay, whatever you use the word, anything you read that enhances your spiritual life, or if you find happiness within yourself, or or both, if you reduces your kashay, greed, anger, lust, ego, deceit within, then that particular reading, whether it is Aagam or non-Aagam, or whether you are reading Bible, Quran or Gita or anything else, okay, important thing is you as a reader, as a swadhyayaka. If by reading that one, it enhances your spiritual life, if it finds happiness within, or if it reduces your kashay, okay, then that is Tirthankar Swani. It doesn't have to be by word. And that is Bhagwan Mahavir's Updesh. That is the significantly important things what Bhagwan Mahavir has said. Okay. From absolute point of view, it doesn't matter what words Bhagwan Mahavir has used. But the most important thing here, does it improve your spirituality? Will you find happiness within yourself? You don't have to go outside, okay, for your happiness. I don't want to go on vacation for my happiness. Okay. I am happy where I am. Okay. I can go outside, but not to find the happiness. Okay. I can go for any other reason. The happiness is within me. Or if you reduce your kashay, any greed, the anger, deceit, everything, that's the definition. Okay. If you properly understand that one, then you don't need to even go through any of this chart. If you not only understand and practice it properly, okay, that is, all other charts are going to teach you ultimately how to come over there. All right. So now I'm completing that chart. Now let's go from the Vyavhar point of view or from the empirical point of view. You cannot build a religious organization based on that above definition. Okay. If you want to create a Jain society, if you wanted to teach our children the Mahaviris know all Tirthankar's teachings and everything, we need, okay, speaker point of view. What Jainism is been saying to us. How would I do this one? How would I enhance my spirituality? How would I find my happiness within, or how do I reduce my kasais? Okay, and similar things I'm talking. So from speaker point of view, that is called Vyavhar Drashti. On Vyavhar-naya point of view, teaching of Jaina or teaching of Tirthankar. There are various names of the Tirthankar. Okay, Apt, Tirthankar, Arihant, Arhat. who has conquered attachment and aversion. Any teaching by this kind of the people who has conquered attachment and aversion, that teaching is the Aagam literature. That is from Vyavhar point of view. Okay? Because why it says Vyavhar? Bhagwan Mahavir taught us. But when I'm listening, I am really listening the what was intended, or I may listen something different. Bhagwan Mahavir on Samavasran gives the Upadesh. And let's assume there are 10,000 people there. Each person is going to listen different things, even though Bhagwan Mahavir spoke the same thing to all of them. So what I'm trying to say, important thing is the readers or listener, but from practical point of view, we said, okay, let's see what Bhagwan Mahavir has said. And we try to follow our life based on that. All right. And the Tirthankar or Jain, they are the one, okay, they don't have any attachment and aversion. So their teaching is always pure. And that is the most important thing, so that we can have a faith to practice and follow, his path. He preaches the universal truth. In conduct, it is equanimity, compassion, universal affections, friendship. And he teaches also principle of relativity, anekantvad. So any teaching which you hear, which covers these qualities, it is called Vyavhar point of view religious learning. Vyavhar point of view religious learning. Okay, the next one. The literature, when it is compiled orally and later on it got documented, what languages our literature has been written. There are, in old time, between 100 BC to 400 BC, approximately. These are all not, don't consider this is hard and fast, because we do not have a historically written proof. Because it's oral tradition. Nobody documented. Nobody has written. All right? It's all orally memorizing and pass on from guru to disciples. So never, when you look at it that way, these are later on, when historians started reading these things, they come up with approximate time period when these things were compiled. And the original language, that's what Bhagwan Mahavir preached. It is Ardhmagdi Prakrit language. It is Ardhmagdi, which is a local language of the Magadh state. Of the Magadh state, that is a local language, and it is the Ardhmagdi Prakrit language. And anything that is compiled at that time between 400 to 100 BC, it is in this language existed. Okay. Afterwards, from 100 AD to 500 AD, there is another form. The language changes because it is a local language, local in a sense, state language. And every local language, after some time, things slowly and slowly makes a lot of changes. Okay. The new form, the language developed, is called Jain Maharashtri. That is the literature that was compiled between 100 to 500 AD. So you see here, this is the old literature is written Ardhamagdi Prakrut or Jain Maharashtri language. Okay, nothing comes Sanskrit. Sanskrit really appears afterwards. On the contrary, during this time period, if Acharya decided, one of the renunciate Acharyas decides that he's going to write something in Sanskrit, and that happened. Siddhasen Divakar Suri, who compiled in Sanskrit, and his guru punished him that you cannot do it. Bhagwan Mahavira used the common people's language. And the reason common people's language Bhagwan Mahavira used, so that you don't need a learned person to interpret what is said. Because Sanskrit is a language of learned people. So common people will have to go, like all Hindu literature. Common people need a middleman, which is Brahmins, that go to the Brahmin and ask them, please interpret for us. And of course they do. All right. So that is the major disadvantage. While Jainism and Buddhism was in the Pali Prakrut. Okay, it's still a Prakrut, but the Pali forms. It is like, if you are from Gujarat, it's a Surti Gujarati and a Kathiawadi Gujarati or Saurashtra Gujarati is the two different forms. Okay, even though it is called Gujarati, same thing. These are the Prakrut. Prakrut is a Prakriti language. It's a natural language. Okay, and that language occurs or the Bhakti Prakrut or Pali Prakrut. And there is a different form for southern part of India when Digambar migrated during Bhadrabhav Swami south. Their language was Sursuni Prakrut. It's still a Prakrut form, but now these are the kind of the different forms of the Prakrut. All right. So that is the language. It has been compiled and later on it got documented also. Okay. So this is the language. Sanskrit came later on. Okay. And we will talk. Now, Jain sect and Jain literature, they go hand in hand. And you will know why it is like this. So if you want to study about Jain literature, you have to know about Jain sect. And here is the chart what I presented. It is just a high level classification of Jain sect. Important things like a Jain sect, there are two groups, Digambar and Shwetambar. Everybody knows that. Everybody hear it so many times now. Digambar monks wear no clothes. Shwetambar monks wear white clothes. Both Digambar and Shwetambar has a subsect. Subsect at a very high level, two categories. Murti Pujak, those who believe in idol worships or worshipping of the Murti, and non-Murti Pujak. They believe that Murti is not essential. Jainism is the religion of Dhyan. And you can do the Dhyan without the Murti, because Dhyan is only of your own soul. In Jainism and in Buddhism, the definition of Dhyan is you got to do the meditation of your own soul by your soul. You're not doing for anybody else. You're not doing for anything else. You want to recognize yourself. And that is the only way you recognize is through meditation. Not somebody else's meditation, not somebody, idol or murti or somebody else. You are going to meditate yourself. And once you recognize yourself, you accomplished. Very simple. It's easy to say it's simple, okay? Because once you start practice, our mind is such, okay, that we cannot, very few people do, but most of us cannot meditate on my own soul, okay? Once I'm trying to do it, I'm going all over the place. I don't even realize that I left the purpose what I'm sitting here for dhyan. Okay. But anyway, this is what is the primary things for Jainism is you are going to meditate by yourself for yourself. Okay. That is the ultimate things. Now, before you reach to the ultimate, because it is extremely difficult to do it, and don't believe me, just try yourself. Okay, and you can see how your mind is wandering from place to place, okay. Within, they said, at least if you can meditate for 48 minutes, then your time will be significantly increasing after that. The first 48 minutes, it is the most critical one. And then you made 81, okay? And you can imagine that even just a 48 minutes, we cannot meditate our own soul without thinking of anything else, okay? Now, so the Digambar tradition, monks wear no clothes. They are Murti Pujak and non-Murti Pujak. Same thing, the Swetambar, where monks wear white clothes. They got the two categories, Murti Pujak and non-Murti Pujak. Now, within the Murti Pujak category of Digambar and non-Murti Pujak category of Digambar and Swetambar, there are subcategories. This is, and I'm going to stop, I'm not going to go further down because these are the major groups, okay, what we have. And these groups have their Aagam literature custom tailored it. What I mean by that, okay? Now let's see it. Digambar Murti Pujak. There are two categories in Digambar Murti Pujak. One is the Bispanthi category and another is the Terapanthi. These are the two categories of the Digambar Murti Pujak. The Bispanthi, the other name is Bhattarak tradition. Bhattarak tradition generally survived in South. I'm not sure how many Bhattaraks are there, but I believe it's somewhere around 10. Probably 10, 12, but I don't know the exact number, but in that kind of the things. And they are the Orthodox Murti Pujak Digambar sect. Orthodox Murti Pujak Digambar sect. Okay? And it is known as either Bispanthi or Bhattarak tradition. Then there is another Murti Pujak tradition. It is called Terapanthi. Don't get confused with Terapanthi in Swetambar tradition also. Okay, this is the Digambar tradition, Murti Pujak, It is called Terapanthi, and it is established by Banarasi Das in 18th century. And these are the Murti Pujaks. But the Murti Pujak, Ahinsaks and simple Murti Pujak, there is no like all kinds of decoration, nothing. Very simple and ahimsak. They don't use flowers. They don't use any living beings. Okay, they use very simple things like color rice. Okay, like yellow color rice. It is one symbolism. Red color rice is another symbolism. Okay, they need dravya. They need something for murti puja, but they make sure that they don't they are using all the material for murti puja. It is all ahimsak and it is all simple. Okay, so as opposed to Bispanthi, which is Bhattara tradition, it is like a kind of a really decoration, significant type things that occurs. Okay, that's a Digambar has two Murti Pujaks sect. And of course, there is a one non-Murti Pujak sect. It is called Taranpanthi. And that was established by Taran Taran Swami. And our contemporary mystic Osho Rajneesh is from non-Murti Pujak Digambar sect. Just for the reference I'm giving you, okay, because he's a very, very popular when I was young, and still his popularity is increasing every time. Okay, he's a very controversial one, so you got to be very careful if you start reading it. Okay, and you can get carried away from one extreme to another extremes and all other things. So be careful. I'm just saying it. Okay, but what he has written, not what he has lectured on Jainism, it is very, very good literature. Okay, so that's the point I'm trying to bring it out. Now we go to the Shwetambar literature. In Shwetambar literature, also there are two sects, Murti Pujak and non-Murti Pujak. They wear white clothes. Now, Shwetambar Murti Pujak is only one sect. So if somebody says he is a Shwetambar Murti Pujak, it is only one high-level major sect. No. While non-Murti Pujak, there are two sects, as opposed to Digambar. Digambar is a two sect of Murti Pujak and one non-Murti Pujak, while here non-Murti Pujak are two and Murti Pujak is one. Now, one Murti Pujak is also Orthodox Murti Pujak. While non-Murti Pujak, there are two names, Sthanakvasi and Terapanthi. Terapanthi is the one where it started in 16th century by Acharya Bhikshu and subsequently like Acharya Tulsi, okay, and Mahaprajnaji's and Mahasramansi. If you are familiar of that sect, that is the one. And Sthanakwasi, which is also non-Murti Pujak. Both are non-Murti Pujak. It is started by Lokasha in the 14th century. So after 14th century, 200 years after, from non-Murti Pujak means Sthanakwasi, the Terapanthi got separated. Sthanakwasi got separated from the Murti Pujak. And from Murti Pujak, Sthanakwasi, Terapanthi got separated on 16th century. And now I will relate you how their literature relates to and So you got to keep in mind both the things when you study Jain literature. All right. Let me proceed further.